What is the Green Climate Fund? This was formally established in 2010 at the COP16 in Cancun, and the fund was designated as an operating entity or the financial mechanism under the UNFCCC. So it's very clear that the GCF is under the guidance of the UNFCCC COP. It is accountable to and functions to support projects, programs, policies, and other actions in developing countries. Of course, based on specific thematic windows that may range from adaptation to mitigation and other specific themes. The GCF should contribute to the achievement of objective of the UNFCCC, and it is mandated to support all the NDC of each developing country. As already mentioned, it is supposed to promote a paradigm shift towards low emission and climate resilient development pathways. The provision of support for developing countries should help to limit or reduce greenhouse gas emissions and to adapt to the impacts of climate change as well. So the fund is supposed to play a key role in channeling new, additional, adequate, and predictable financial resources to all developing countries and will catalyze climate finance from various sources, both public and private, and also at the international and the national levels. So here are core principles that has been adopted by the GCF. It is supposed to follow a country-driven approach, which means that developing countries should lead the GCF programs and implementation of their projects. Country ownership of GCF financing decisions enables the developing countries to turn their NDC or their ambitions in climate action. So GCF is basically country-driven and underpinned by capacity building support, which is provided through the readiness program under the GCF. It operates open partnership organization. It is working on a range of financing instruments. It is either public or private and at different scales. And there should be a balanced allocation between adaptation and mitigation, which is quite difficult for now, but they have to achieve that balance of these allocations. And it has put in place sound safeguards. They have this environmental and social safeguards management system. And of course, they have to sustain the paradigm shift that is supposed to be delivered by this Green Climate Fund. So what has the GCF been doing all these years since it was established in 2010? While it started with lesser board meetings, for now it is already conducting 3 board meetings per year. And this is usually participated by 300 various stakeholders from the civil society, from the private sector, from national designated authorities who are the national conduits of the fund at the country level. As well as accredited entities. And of course, there is the board is composed of equal representatives from both developed and developing countries. In these board meetings, they do review and approval of the application of accredited entities. They also both decide and provide support for the readiness of each country. There are numerous project proposals that are being submitted, both for mitigation and adaptation, and this they also review and approve or provide conditionalities towards its approval. It has already adopted an Indigenous peoples policy and working on sectoral papers or sectoral guides, and these are part of the work of what the GCF has been doing. They have also conducted initial evaluation of some of the projects that had been implemented, as well as they also conduct outreach to countries and conduct regional dialogues. Why is GCF relevant for Indigenous peoples? It's so complicated, and yet Indigenous peoples are being engaged in this process or in this space. climate change impact is real, and impacts of this is heavier for vulnerable populations and communities that include indigenous peoples, women, and children. We may have our own traditional knowledge systems and practices as a contribution to our responses to climate change impacts, but still we need more support in terms of innovations, technologies, and finance to support our collective efforts. Indigenous peoples have been actively engaging in the climate change processes and have been calling for participation, engagements, safeguards, redress mechanism, access to finance, among others. Indigenous peoples had been doing these various activities under the Green Climate Fund. So we have a small Indigenous peoples advocacy team, and they make sure that they attend every board meeting as observers. And through this participation, they also ensure to reach out to board members, secretariat, and advisors for various concerns that we have. So they conduct one-on-one meetings with board members. We submit or we send them letters on our various concerns. And we also provide submissions, such as in relation to information disclosure, to the environmental and social safeguards, and also as well as the sectoral papers that they had already sent out for our comments. We also conducted roundtable discussions in relation to the approval of the Indigenous Peoples Policy.